Just Stop Oil activists have thrown tomato soup over one of Vincent van Gogh's most famous paintings, Sunflowers. As soup dripped down the artwork, the protesters were arrested on criminal damages. And it wasn't the group's only protest today, as Helen Keenan reports.
Gasps at the National Gallery as one of the world's greatest masterpieces is doused in soup. A protest from the environmental group Just Stop Oil, who then glued themselves to the wall.
What is worth more, art or life? Are you concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people?
The room had to be evacuated and police were called to the scene. And visitors queuing outside after this morning's disruption were left frustrated.
Nobody has the right to do that sort of thing.
Block motorways and doing things like they've done here today, it's just turn people off what they believe in.
I don't know if I can say it's justified, but I do understand where they're coming from. They could probably pick better ways to do it, but at the same time they've probably just had their voices been shut down for many, many years, and this is probably why it's got to this.
An incredibly famous piece of artwork, Sunflowers was created by Vincent van Gogh in 1888. It's worth more than £70 million, and a copy has hung in the gallery in Trafalgar Square since 1924. The National Gallery released a statement saying that while there was minor damage done to the frame, they say that the painting itself remains unharmed. That's because it was protected by a glass cover, something the protesters tell us they knew before taking the action. So you'd consider targeting paintings or other big things like this again?
Ideally we don't want to, but if the government are not going to listen, if they're just going to ignore everything else, this is the kind of action we're forced to take.
Are you surprised at the backlash from the public over this? Did you think you'd have the public's support?
Obviously it's a very controversial action, but then again, you can wipe the soup off. There's no actual damage. There is a lot of damage going on in the world right now. The real eco-vandalism is people burning more fossil fuels. It's 2022. What's going to happen in 2023? What's going to happen in 2030, 2050? It's a terrifying thought.
Why are you doing that?
The Met Police have arrested 2 people over the incident. Later in the day, Just Stop Oil threw orange paint at the new Scotland Yard sign to draw attention to the arrests. The painting is now back on display, and the protesters undeterred and determined to continue taking controversial action. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
And another climate group were also out protesting in central London. Extinction Rebellion blocked traffic in Trafalgar Square, Whitehall and Downing Street. Protesters set off colourful smoke grenades and cheered when the Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng was sacked. It's ahead of a weekend of disruption in the capital.
Whereas the damage that we're doing to this planet can't be mended or cleaned quickly. So, I think we have to consider things in proportion as to what's justified.
Just trying our best to make the government take notice of what we're doing and why we're doing that. And I'm dressed as a bug because it's not a joke, but I'm dressed in a jokey way because nobody's taking it seriously and we really need to take this seriously.